Good morning. It is now 9:04, and I call this meeting of the Business, Finance, and Facilities Committee to order. Klaus, can you please take roll?
Chair Carvalho.
Here.
Vice Chair Brager.
Here.
Regent Fernandez.
Present.
Regent Goycochea.
Here.
Regent Goodman.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Before we move on with the agenda, I do want to make one announcement. We are going to not take item number 7. That item has been withdrawn. So item number 7 is no longer on this agenda. I'll now move to item number 1, public comment. For those who would like to call in and offer public comment, please dial 669-444-9171 and enter meeting ID 933-5568-7402 and passcode 555555. And this is public comment for the Business, Finance, and Facilities Committee. Is there any public comment at GBC?
There is no public comment at GBC at this time.
Thank you. Is there any public comment at the system office in Reno?
None in Reno.
Thank you. Public comment here at UNLV. Please come forward, state and spell your last name, and you will have 2 minutes.
Good morning, Chair Carvalho, Vice Chair Brager, and committee members. My name is Jennifer McClendon. That's MCCLENDON, and I serve as chair of the UNR Faculty Senate. On behalf of the academic and administrative faculty at our university, I want to express strong support for all UNR-related items on today's agenda, especially the action items addressing housing and parking. Items 15, 16, 17, and 18. Faculty have a few long-standing priorities: an adequate office and lab space, parking that doesn't feel like an endurance sport, and affordable housing near campus are often on the list. If you've ever looked through Faculty Senate minutes, you'll see these themes appear year after year. These proposed acquisitions and improvements represent meaningful progress towards those goals and will help us recruit and retain talented faculty and graduate students while improving the daily experience for our entire campus community. We appreciate our campus leadership for bringing these priorities forward, and we thank all of you for supporting initiatives that strengthen UNR's academic mission and community well-being.
Good morning, members of the Business Committee. It's great to see you all here on our UNLV campus. My name is Devin Lopez, and I am the Graduate Professional Student Body President here at UNLV. I'm speaking today to urge you all to either postpone or oppose item 10. Item 10 will approve a contract formation process to allow the Boring Company to tunnel underneath parts of UNLV property, but the company's recent business and community malpractices have caused great concern for myself and members of the graduate professional community here at UNLV. As you may know from recent news, the Boring Company has engaged in the illegal dumping of various drilling and construction fluids within our community, resulting in a large green sludge pool off Paradise Road. The green sludge pool has yet to receive a scientific understanding of how these chemicals will impact the health of residents in the area or the Las Vegas community broadly, though the pool has since been removed. Additionally, further reporting claims that the Boring Company allegedly engaged in the corruption of elected officials, requesting that fines imposed on them for this illegal activity be rescinded through calls to the state government, and rescinded they were, according to Fortune. The Boring Company has also endangered the lives of our local firefighters and construction employees, who have also suffered numerous chemical burns and other injuries due to improper safety measures from the company and have not once paid an OSHA fine, according to our local Channel 8 News and the Las Vegas Sun. I'm not here to litigate these specific cases, but it's very important that this committee and the full board consider how this company might try to engage in these same corrupt practices with NSHE and UNLV should a contract be approved. We must also consider how the company's apparent disregard for safety will risk the health of our UNLV community, faculty, staff, and students alike. To conclude, if the item is approved by this committee, I request that safeguards are included in the finalization of the contract, requiring full board approval to ensure transparency in this process and reduce the ability of corrupt practices to permeate our system. I believe that rushing through this process will put students, faculty, and staff's health in danger if the company continues operations as it has done in recent years. I hope that this committee takes a thoughtful and calculated approach to item 10, keeping the safety and health of our community at the top of your minds. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Lahana Pierce, and I serve as the president of Nevada State Student Alliance at Nevada State University. I'm here to support Agenda Item 8, recognizing how valuable this academic building will be for students and families in North Las Vegas. This new space will improve access for the many students who commute from North Las Vegas and nearby areas. It provides a closer and more convenient option for coursework, advising, academic resources, and study spaces. These are all factors that directly influence student success and retention. And as a rapidly growing institution, expanding into North Las Vegas also increases visibility for Nevada State within a community where many of our students already live and work. This presence will help future students learn about NSUs earlier in their educational journey and understand that higher education is accessible and available to those at home. This investment is an important step towards expanding opportunity, increasing equity, and supporting the long-term success of Nevada State students. Thank you for your time, and I encourage your support of Agenda Item 8. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Stephanie Flores, Flores, and I serve as the Attorney General of Nevada State Student Alliance. I'm here today in support of Agenda Item 8. For many Nevada State students, especially those who live in the North Las Vegas area and also nearby areas, this new academic building represents real and meaningful access. A lot of our students balance long commutes, work, and family responsibilities, so having a location closer to home can be the difference between getting to class or falling behind. A space that offers advising, study areas, and academic support right in their community will directly strengthen student success and help more students stay on track to graduate. Expanding into North Las Vegas also builds a stronger relationship with the community where so many of our students already live and work. It creates visibility, connection, and a sense of belonging for future students who might not have pictured themselves in college but will see a university right in their neighborhood. For us, this project isn't just about a new building. It's about creating real pathways for students who are trying their best to move forward. I hope you'll consider what this access means for them as you make your decision today. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Pamela Goins Brown, PAMELAGOYNES-BROWN, Mayor of beautiful North Las Vegas. Chair Carvalho, Vice Chair Brager, and members of the committee. I don't know about you, but I am excited to be before you this morning to ask for your support for Agenda Item Number 8 on Nevada State University, North Las Vegas campus. This campus will fundamentally transform the state's largest minority-majority city and open doors to better career paths for our residents. Not only will this campus bring much-needed educational opportunities to the heart of our community, it will afford up to 2,500 students and offer 240 courses per term to achieve their dreams of earning a college degree without the worry or barriers that might get in their way. Currently, 20% of adults in North Las Vegas aged 25 and older have attained a bachelor's degree. With a university campus in our downtown core, those numbers will only increase and prepare more adults to be career ready. The planned 3-story, 30,000 square foot building will anchor the North Las Vegas Gateway, the largest redevelopment project in the history of our city. We are extremely proud and look forward to welcoming you to North Las Vegas. And again, I ask you for your support in this matter. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Chair Carvalho, Vice Chair Brager, and Regents. My name is Scott Black, SCOTTBLACK. I have the privilege of serving with our amazing mayor of North Las Vegas as the Mayor Pro Tem and Councilman in Ward 3. And I also echo her sentiments of our excitement, our commitment to Nevada State University, North Las Vegas campus. As we try to elevate our urban core of our city and provide resources and valuable assets to really lend to the growth and development of not only the structural visible downtown of our community, but the people that reside there. This is a pivotal piece of that redevelopment project, and we're willing to make a substantial capital investment. And I'll tell you the reason why. We're making this investment to make this a viable expansion of NSU because we're on a trajectory of success in North Las Vegas. NSU is also on a trajectory of success. The last time I had the privilege of speaking in front of the Board of Regents was to advocate for, on behalf of NSU, to go from Nevada State College to Nevada State University. They're progressing and growing. We're progressing and growing. We're ready to make a capital investment to make this a reality in our community for two reasons. One, because it's essential. We need this educational investment in our community. And number two, it'll yield tremendous return on investment. We make sound investments in North Las Vegas, and I believe that this is a truly sound investment that will yield dividends for our community, for NSU, and for higher education in its entirety for decades to come. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Good morning, Regents. My name is Isabel Hatch, and I serve as the Director of Government Affairs for the Associated Students of the University of Nevada, representing the undergraduate student body at UNR since 1898. I'm here to express our support for Agenda Item 15, requesting approval for the university to accept 275,000 square feet of land rights from the Sierra Nevada College, and I'm glad to take the opportunity to highlight the University of Nevada at Lake Tahoe. Finalizing the deal between Sierra Nevada College and the university has the potential to further expand the beautiful Lake Tahoe campus, which has created many incredible opportunities for UNR students. Currently, the Lake Tahoe campus offers classes for students pursuing an arts, land, and environments minor, a sustainability certificate, and other general semester coursework. The campus also offers unique one-credit weekend courses for students looking to learn about the environment of Lake Tahoe, indigenous culture, and AI and nature, to name a few. Hosting our annual ASUN retreat at the UNR Lake Tahoe campus these past few years has been a privilege and a unique chance to appreciate the campus. While studying at Lake Tahoe is an excellent opportunity, there have been few students enrolled at the Lake Tahoe campus in recent years. Approving this transfer of rights creates a capacity to further expand and protect our beautiful Lake Tahoe campus at the University of Nevada. While the campus is already great, it has potential to be transformative for Nevada students, and it is crucial to empower more students to study at Lake Tahoe. The associated students urge you to approve this item as it will have an extremely positive effect on the student body of the University of Nevada and help maximize the potential of the Lake Tahoe campus. Thank you for your time, and as always, go Pack.
Hello, good morning, Regents, Chair, and Presidents. For the record, my name is Kelechi Odunze, and I serve as the CSUN Student Body President, representing over 27,000 undergraduate students. I'm here to express student concerns regarding Item 10. On Item 10, students are not opposed to growth, but right now, campus access is already a struggle. Maryland Parkway has been under construction for years. Parking availability changes constantly, and we're going to lose spaces during the parking structure construction. Adding a long-term tunneling project beneath campus right now, where many students park without a clear plan for how it will impact access, is worrying. Before we approve anything, I would like to ask, how will this affect parking on campus and campus safety? How severe will road closures be? How will it overlap with the parking project and ongoing Maryland construction? And what direct benefit, other than easier access to Allegiant Stadium, will students see? As the undergraduate student body president, I'm respectfully asking the board to delay approval of Item 10 until student impact assessments are completed and made public. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment here at UNLV, SCS, is there any public comment on the phone?
There's no callers at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I'll close public comment now. Item number 2, consent items. I will open the floor to Regents on the committee. Yes, Regent Breger.
If there's no changes or deletions, I'd like to make a motion for 2A through 2E.
Thank you, Vice Chair Breger. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Regent Gokachia.
Thank you, Regent Gokachia. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote to approve the consent items. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, fiscal year 2024-2025 NSHE state operating budget to actual comparison. And for this, I will go to Chief Financial Officer Chris Vitone.
Good morning, Chair Carvalho, members of the committee. Thank you, Chris Fatone, Chief Financial Officer, for the record. Item 3 is the fiscal year 25 state-supported budget to actual report. I'll keep my remarks brief. I know you have a lot on your agenda today, but just a quick highlight of a few of the items in the report. Page 5 is a summary of revenue. If you take a look at that page, it shows the total revenues for fiscal year 25 of just about $1.3 billion, which is made up of about $908.8 million, $8 million in state appropriation that's summarized in the top half of that page, which represents about 64% of the total revenue in the state-supported operating budgets. The majority of other revenue is about $391.2 million in student fees and non-resident tuition. Moving on to page 6 is a one-line summary of the state appropriation units. There's 28 state budget accounts, state budget appropriation units in the report. And page 6 lists a one-line summary where you can see the distribution of the total revenue or total expenses as those items match. Keeping in mind this is the total state-supported operating budget that includes both state appropriation and other revenues. Page 7 and page 8 are two views of the summary of total expenditures. Page 7 is a summary of expenditures by function. This is where you see the distribution by function within the organization. Instruction, academic support, student services, those functions. And then page 8 is a summary of expenditures by the same expenditures but summarized by natural classification or ledger, where you see the distribution by salary components, employee categories, fringe benefits, and operating expenses. The following pages 9 through 75 are similar summaries of each of the state appropriation accounts in the same format as this overall summary of revenue and expenses for each of the accounts. And I'll end my remarks there, and if there's any questions. Yeah.
Thank you, CFO Fatone. Any questions or comments? Regent Breaker?
If there are no comments or questions, I didn't see anybody raise their hand, I would make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2024-25 state operating budget to the actual comparisons.
Thank you for that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion. Regent Goicoechea.
Thank you, Regent Goicoechea. I'll open it up for discussion. Seeing none, I will just make one comment that I thought it was interesting that our actual state appropriations were slightly higher than what were budgeted. So I appreciate the state's generosity in that. So thank you. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, fiscal year 2025-2026 NSHE state-supported operating budget. CFO Fatone.
Thank you again, Chair. Chris Fatone for the record. Item 4 is the FY26 state-supported operating budget report. This report is this being the first year of the biennium. I just wanted to spend a few minutes highlighting some of the narrative pages that start the report. In the beginning of the report, you'll see pages 5 through 13 that include a narrative summary of the biennial budget approved by the 83rd Legislature. We covered this in more detail when we met following the close of the session, so I won't go through it in too much detail, but I wanted to highlight a few pages. Page 10, because this does serve as a good reference document as once we post it on the website. Page 10 includes a summary of all the funding bills, so you can see the funding, the state appropriations, and the bills that led to those. On page 11, you'll see a summary of the allocation of the safety funds that was appropriated by AB 567 to the campuses. Page 12 is a summary of our capital appropriations, the one-shot appropriations that were approved separate from the CIP bill. And page 13 includes a summary of the allocation of the biennial higher ed capital construction funds and special higher ed capital construction funds, or HECSHAC funds, we refer to them, for deferred maintenance. So I know those are items that tend to come up and have a lot of interest, so good reference points for those. On page 16, start the reports that are in the same format as the budget to actual that we just discussed. this time comparing the FY26 new year budget with the FY25 budgets. Page 16 is a summary of revenue again, showing total budgeted revenue for FY26 of $1.4 billion compared to $1.3 billion in fiscal year 25, an increase of about 10%. Of that, approximately $985 million is the state appropriation revenue, which increased $86.4 million over FY25, primarily due to caseload growth and funding for fringe benefit rate increases and utility inflation. The remaining $450.4 million of authorized revenues is primarily student registration fees and non-resident tuition. And then on page 17 is a summary of the similar summary of revenue by appropriation unit for FY26. And then moving to pages 18 and 19 are the two views of the summary of expenditures. Again, the first page being the summary by function, and the second page being the summary by natural classification or ledger. And again, as you know, the way state budgets work, the revenues and expenses match there. The remaining pages, 20 through 83, are a summary by appropriation unit that follows that same format as the system-wide summary. That concludes my remarks, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you. I'll open the floor to Regents. Vice Chair Breaker.
I will go ahead and make a motion to accept the year 25-26 NSHE state-supported operating budget.
Thank you for that motion. I'll call for a second.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Goicoechea. Any other discussion? I will just echo what I said with the last item, that I appreciate the state's generosity in appropriating more funds. At this time, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, fiscal year 24-25 NSHE self-supporting budget to actual comparison. CFO Vitone.
Thanks again, Chair. Chris Vitone, NSHE CFO for the record. Item 5 on your agenda is this fiscal year 25 self-supporting funds budget to actual report. This report includes the budgeted accounts for self-supporting programs, which are comprised of things such as student fees that are outside the state-supported operating budget, such as differential fees, special course fees, housing and dining, etc. It also includes athletic revenues and facility administrative overhead costs, revenues, and other revenues. The report includes all budgeted accounts, even if the accounts are below the board's required budget threshold. So that was a change we made last year, where now we report all budgeted accounts. We don't limit them to the accounts that meet your budget threshold. The report does not include gift funds, grant funds, or capital project accounts. So it's operating programs under your board policy. So starting on page 8 of the report, I'm sorry, let me focus on page 7 of the report first, which shows a summary of revenues and expenses, with page 7 being the summary. Both pages 7 and 8 show a summary of revenues and expenses. And similar to the state operating report, one view is expenses by function, that's on page 7. And then one page is a summary of expenses by natural classification or ledger, that's on page 8. Highlighting on page 7, total self-supporting revenues were about $770.5 million for 2025, fiscal year 25, consisting of tuition fees, sales and service revenues, facilities administrative revenue, and investment income. Total expenses were about $705.9 million, with net transfers out of $15.8 million for fiscal year 25. Again, total on page 8, 7 and 8 are the same. These are just two different views of expenses, one by function and one by natural classification. Pages 10 through 79 provide details by campus, including a summary of sources and uses at the unit level. So there's a campus level summary that follows the system view, and then for each of the units within each campus, there's just a more concise summary of total revenues, total expenses by unit in the remainder of the report. And I'll stop there with my remarks and see if you have any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Regent Breger, for the record, since I'm not seeing any questions, I would make a motion to accept the 24-25 NSHE self-supporting budget to actual comparison.
Thank you for that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion, Regent Goicoechea.
Thank you very much, Regent Goicoechea. Any discussion? I will just say that it appears to me from this budget that our institutions did very well in terms of student tuition and fees in this year and held expenses quite a bit under the budget. Is that correct, Regent? I'm sorry, CFO Vitone?
Chris Fatone for the record. Thank you, Chair Carvalho, for the question. I certainly the numbers do show tuition and fees above budget. I think you had campuses did have some enrollment that contributed to that. Expenditures also lower than budget. There are some one-time savings in there, one-time adjustments that are made as the campuses had been balancing their COLA adjustments in that year. And so I think you see that in this reflection. I think it does allow them a little more carry forward going into 26 to help with the continuing cost of the salary adjustments on the self-supporting accounts and the higher benefit costs that began at the start of fiscal year 26 as well. I don't know if campuses may want to provide some comments or if you have other questions. Yeah.
I would be happy to open it up to any of the presidents if they have any comments regarding their budgets. President Dinelli?
Dr. Amber Dinelli, President of Great Basin College. I would just say that when we forecasted our budget, we did that off of the enrollments that were around 2,900. We're at 3,600 students. And so you can see what that tuition does when you have about a 20% increase in your enrollment. So that's where you see that difference for us.
Thank you. Yes, that was a great increase there, and I see that throughout our system. So thank you to the presidents for working hard on increasing enrollment and really attracting students to our institutions. Okay. And then for the expenditures, CFO Vitone, those savings, are just so I'm clear on it, are those savings from holds on vacancies that we have, or is that where most of that comes from for the institutions? I know I'm asking a very broad question, but maybe to.
Chris Fatone for the record. I would say on a high level, yes, that's a primary area. I know there are some in the way these reports work between budget and actual. You'll see in some other narrative there's some differences between items budgeted as on the operating line that end up occurring in the transfer line. So there's some just mismatches between the lines. I think we worked with the institutions as we built the 26 budgets, trying to align it to, having noticed those in the actual budget to actual report, looking to align those better in the 26 budgets. So when we get to that budget to actual, that would be less likely to occur. But yes, generally, yeah.
Thank you. And I just want to say that I do appreciate the narrative that comes with the budgets from the institutions as well. Regent Goodman.
So what you said, CFO Vitone, that explains this disparity of nearly 200 million between on this ending balance reserve between the budget and the actual. I'm looking at page 7.
Chris Fatone for the record. Regent Goodman, yes, the ending balance reserve, a large part of that difference is a result of how the ending balance is actually handled in the budget. So just to highlight a unfortunate disparity in the way the budget works, there's, if we look at page 8, on the operating line. So this is also an item that we identified in putting together this budget to actual that will not repeat when we see the FY26 budgets. But if you'll, some of the institutions ending projected balances were handled as an operating expense in the budget. But that's obviously an actual ending balance in the actual. So there's a difference between the operating line and the projected ending balance that is the reserve line. Projected ending balance in budgeting a fund budget to zero is treated as an expense, even though it is reserved for carry forward. So there is not a variance of 200 million in carry forward. It's actually a variance of about 50 million in carry forward.
Thank you. I just wanted you to address that as we have some very interesting items on our agenda, and 200 million looks, it's a lot of money, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Item number 6, fiscal year 25-26 NSHE self-supporting budget. CFO Vitone.
Chris Fatone for the record. Thank you, Chair Carvalho. Item number 6 is the new year fiscal year 2026 self-supporting budget report. And like the budget to actual we just discussed, this includes your self-supporting accounts, self-supporting revenues that are outside the state operating budget. On page 7 is the summary that compares fiscal year 26 budget to fiscal year 25 budget with a summary of revenues and expenses by function, and page 8 provides that same summary, similar to the same format that we just reviewed in budget to actual for revenues and expenses by ledger account. And I'll just end my remarks there if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? I do have some questions on this one as well. As I mentioned to you previously, I found it difficult to really compare based on FY25 budget to FY26 budget instead of actuals. So I think it would be helpful to have that information for us, especially when there is a large difference between what was budgeted and what are the actual revenues and expenditures. I see for a lot of our institutions, the budget for FY26, we have lower student tuition and fees budgeted, and expenses look to be, for most, higher than what was budgeted in the previous year when most of our institutions had considerable savings. Some not so much. I know I'm painting a broad picture here, and I'm happy to go through each one. I do have some notes on all of that, but that concerns me a little bit that we're basing the FY26 budget on 25 budget numbers when that's very different from actuals.
Thank you, Chair Carvalho, for the question or observation. I'm certainly happy to spend more time going through it. I don't know that if campuses want to discuss a little bit their process, but I do believe campuses are working on budget, looking at projected actuals for the current fiscal year, so they would take that into consideration when they're building the budget, not simply a comparison to the prior year budget. In summary, I know that there's an increase in total projected student tuition and fees and sales and services. So self-supporting revenues projected to increase budget over budget by approximately $59 million. So I think if it's an individual institution that may have decreases, if there's questions, perhaps the campus would be able to speak to that.
Okay. I'll start with well, we have CSN as the first institution on these budgets. I have in my notes, and unfortunately for CSN, I don't have the number in front of me. For the 26 budget is for student tuition and fees is just over 23 million, and for the 25 budget, I believe that the actuals were more than 25. So are we projecting lower enrollment for 26? So that's one question. And then also for expenses, now I'm sorry if I'm not trying to be difficult, but the numbers are the numbers, and if I can't read this correctly, I don't know how anybody can. But for expenses, the actual for CSN in 25 was 39 million. For the 26 budget, it's 52 million. So that's a big difference, and I'll say that there's similar trends with other institutions too, and we may not have time to go through every one, but these are some of the things that I'm thinking of and seeing on here as I'm looking at the budget. And as Regent Goodman said, as we are contemplating other items on our main board agenda, I think it's important to understand these numbers more clearly. So especially when we have institutions who are budgeting less than what they had last year. I would hope that our institutions could still maintain the enrollment that they had this year. Especially with, enrollment increases, and then also we do have predictable pricing, and tuition and fees do go up every year. So I would like to see that we don't have a drop unless there's something specific that institutions want to talk about. But it gives me pause to see that we have budgets that are budgeting less in terms of student tuition and fees than previous actuals. So I'll start with CSN. Thank you.
Chair Carvalho, Stacy Klippenstein, excuse me, for the record. Thank you very much for the question. That's something that we're looking at within CSN with our budget building for fiscal year 27 into the next biennium. The exact numbers when it comes to enrollment with projected versus budgeted enrollment. So if we project out a plus 3%, plus 2%, plus 1% in enrollment, what that would be in state, out of state, based on tuition gain. I think the numbers that are in here are based on a budgeted amount. However, we have gone up in enrollment as well. This year is 5%. So our fiscal year 26 actuals will be higher than budgeted. And then some of the expenses that might be in here would be more related to the potential of savings from an actual standpoint to budgeted, as mentioned earlier by Vice Chancellor Baton, in regards to salary savings or whatever else. So budgeted versus actuals, you'll see some ups and some downs as it goes forward. If we're planning fiscal year 26 versus fiscal year 25 budgeted amounts, we have to take some of those things into consideration. And but going forward for fiscal year 27, that's our goal, is to be able to rebalance what we're thinking about our enrollment potential gain, and then also then the necessary expenses that go to those revenues. I do have VP Bakke here, who can probably dig in a little bit more since she's more intimately involved in the back end of the budget side. But hopefully that might answer a little bit of the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just do want to put out there that before we have any others from the institutions, I do want to call out this, what I see from other institutions first. So for GBC, that DRI was next, but DRI doesn't have student tuition and fees, so I'm going to skip them for now, although expenses are, I have questions on that, but I'll go back to that. For GBC, which was next, tuition and fees for 25 actual were, as we noted before, $3 million. And then 26 budget is 1.99. Again, we're trending in the wrong direction in terms of enrollment. Again, I know that we have a pending demographic cliff. I know all that, but that's not coming like where we are today. So that concerns me that we have budgeted less than what our actuals were for the previous year. And the same with expenses. The total for 25, the actual was 4.6, but the budget for 26 is 6.1. So there's a difference between 6.1 and 4.6 there. So that I call into question. I'll just go with everything I have here. Nevada State revenue for tuition and fees for 25 is 7.2, but the 26 budget is 6.9. Expenses, actuals for 25 are 8.5, but the budget for 26 is 26. That's a huge difference. And I have to understand that more before we can approve this, in my view. TMCC, the revenue for tuition and fees for 25 were 5.3, but the 26 budget is 3.5. Again, we're going backwards. And expenses looked reasonable. So that made sense to me. UNLV revenue for tuition and fees for 25 was $131 million. And this one was interesting. It went up to $151 million. So we go the opposite. They obviously think that their enrollment is going to really increase. Happy to see that. Expenses, though, for 25 actual is $351 million, but for 26, the budget is $426. So, 75 million difference. UNR tuition and fees, the actual was 82, and similar to UNLV, the budget for 26 is 95. Good to see that. But the expenses, 25 actual, is 264 million, where the budget is 376. A large difference of over 100. WNC revenue for 25 actual is 3.2, where the budget is 3.3. That's reasonable and good. I like to see that. Expenses, we're probably still in line at 3.2 actual versus 3.9 budgeted. And I know I'm throwing out a lot of numbers, and probably each of the institutions can look at that. But those are, for me, areas that I have to question. I have to question when, again, before us in the main board, we have an ask for an increase in tuition and fees. So this, I don't know if I can approve the budget the way that it is right now, without at least more understanding of why these numbers are here. And for the most part, it's not really addressed in the narratives for me. So that's where I'm at on this, and I'll open it up to other regions. Regent Goodman.
Could we have some explanation for our chair on some of this from some of the institutions? I think she has some valid points, and I think if we can at least air them here, it helps us moving forward as well, so.
I'm more than happy to open it up to the institutions. Oh, and before I see CFO Klinger coming up, and I'll just, Vice Chair Brager.
Thank you. Susan Brager for the record. And I agree, we have a major item coming up later, and what you shared are some of the things that I think probably most of us saw. You just put it out there very well. So I just wanted to add that to what you're looking at.
Thank you. CFO Klinger.
For the record, Chair Brooks, Andrew Klinger, Vice President of Administration and Finance at the University of Nevada, Reno. I'm not sure I can answer all of your questions, Regent Carvalho. I guess top line, what I'll say on self-supporting budgets, and this is true for all of the institutions. On self-supporting, it's sort of eat what you kill. And so all of those, there are literally hundreds of self-supporting accounts. I mean, you're getting a very high-level summary in this report, and I know we've sort of gone back and forth on the level of detail in these reports, and so maybe it's too high level, and maybe that's a different discussion. But what I will say is, in all of those self-supporting accounts, we have to manage those to the revenue that comes in and monitor the ending balances. So in all of these different accounts that we're looking at, and we do report some of that obviously to the board on our fee balance reports, but we ensure that we're not building excess reserves unless it's appropriate, whether it's a capital account or whatever. So those are the types of things that you see in here. And so it's hard when you're looking at it from a 50,000 foot to drill in and say, okay, what is this $100 million difference? I mean, I would literally have to drill in and go look at all of these accounts and figure out where those differences are. And we can certainly do that. And again, maybe this report needs to provide more detail than it does, because at a unit level, that is a very high level view of these budgets. But I think the bottom line is we are managing each one of these accounts individually to make sure what we're bringing in matches what we're spending, and that that we either don't have too little reserve or too much reserve. So I don't know if that helps.
Well, I will just say that the numbers are the numbers. For tuition and fees, that should just be, that's basically one line item. And in UNR's case, I don't really have much of a question on that, but just generally, I am concerned when we don't think that we're going to at least meet last year's actuals. And I think it's also important for this budget to show actuals on here, not just budget. Because if we're doing a budget based on previous budgets, that doesn't mean anything after a while, And this is probably just for going forward. But I like I said, I have to question that. And in terms of expenses, I'm just taking the total here. And so I would imagine that for UNR, to look at your budget specifically, perhaps something in the narrative would have been helpful to explain why it is that it appears to me that our institutions are basing future budgets on previous budgets and not on actuals. And that's what it looks like from my perspective. And in this case, it's wrong, flat out wrong to me. And then if these are the numbers in front of us, that's what we have to go with. And yeah, we can't take hundreds of line items, but there are a lot of discrepancies in these budgets, I'll just say.
Chair Brooks may respond.
Sorry,
Chair Carvalho.
Yeah,
sorry.
Just for clarification.
Yeah, BFF, sorry.
Chair Carvalho is the chair
Chair
of the
Carvalho.
BFF committee, and so please.
Sorry,
address
apologize.
her. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair Carvalho.
No worries. Regent Goodman, and then I'll go to President Heavey.
Thank you. So, I think what we really need to do, and I'm sorry to put you on the hot plate, but CFO Vitone, if you can work with our institutions, I understand, the numbers, there's a disparity here. We're talking about these numbers. There's large, those large numbers. As fiduciaries, it's our responsibility to question this. And so it makes it so, basically you're saying, well, just trust us. And I can appreciate that. I do think all the institutions are doing their best and budgeting accordingly. My issue is we just need more information. So I would ask CFO Vitone to work with our institutions and give us a little bit more background here so that when we're here contemplating 9% fee increase for our students. We're not sitting here, again, this has happened in the past. And so if we can get a little bit more information up front, I would ask the CFO to provide that for us and give us a little bit more of a summary so that, $100 million is a lot of money. And it's hard to justify increasing fees when we're looking at these kinds of disparities. Thank you.
CFO Vitone.
Thank you, Chris Fatone, for the record. So certainly from the discussion today, we're already having conversations on my phone about revising this report to incorporate prior year actuals, because I do think I understand having the report separate and not having actuals on this report makes it a little difficult to compare the three items: prior year budgets, current year prior year actuals, new year budgets. So we can work with the institutions and revise these reports to incorporate that. I also hear the concerns about understanding some of those variances. We did not having those comparisons. I don't know that the campuses are prepared with detailed analysis of those variances. As I mentioned, I'm certain the campuses are looking at projected actuals at the time they're building the budgets. The budget process is a lengthy process. It starts actually in January, February for the next year. At that point, they're starting to project current year results to work on their budgets. So while the report only reflects the comparison budget to budget, I know the work in the background is certainly looking at both. And to CFO Klinger's point, I know that there's a tendency to make sure that budgeted operating expenses can be covered from the revenues they're planning also. So probably a tendency to err on the side of caution in developing those budgets in that regard. But certainly happy to work with the campuses to bring back more information.
Thank you. President Heavey?
Thank you, Chair Carvalho. Interim President Chris Heavey, for the record. I just wanted to note another kind of high-level factor that I think plays into this to some extent is that fiscal year 25 was quite unique, both in terms of the large cost of living adjustments, it being a legislative session in which we were unsure the extent to which those cost of living adjustments would be covered both in ongoing allocations and in the kind of post-diction of what amount is funded by the governor's finance office. And so I know at UNLV, we were extremely conservative in our holding a large number of positions open in anticipation of difficult outcomes had the GFO office not funded the previous COLA that had already been paid, as well as not stepped in to fund that COLA in fiscal year 26. And so when you're looking at fiscal year 25 actuals being so much lower than fiscal year 25 budgeted, I think that's a factor as we were being extremely conservative in spending money because there was an extraordinary amount of uncertainty, as well as the changes at the federal level that were having campus level impacts. And so those factors come into play to make fiscal year 25 quite unique in my experience. And I think that played into our thinking and probably, I would guess, the other campuses as well.
I appreciate that, and I understand that we're in a different time right now, and that also goes to our discussion later on the full board. And I appreciate a conservative budget. I certainly do. I spent many years looking at budgets. This doesn't make sense to me, and I don't think that the budgets the way they are, as what I've outlined, is okay to give us. I don't feel comfortable with what I have in front of me right now. So I'll just leave it there, and I would definitely appreciate more information for these budgets. And CFO Vitone, can you please let us know what kind of, if there are any kind of timing issues on approving these budgets?
Chris Fatone, for the record. I think my general concern is that these are fiscal year 26 budgets, and this is December, mid-year of fiscal year 26. So the campuses are operating with these budgets in place as preliminary, subject to your approval, and they'll continue to operate through the year without your. So my concern is simply a matter of the fact that the fiscal year is already underway at the time you're receiving these reports, and we can certainly come back with more information. But timing-wise, that's my concern with delaying the approval.
Perhaps we should consider having budgets come before us before the fiscal year begins. That's one area that I think maybe could also be looked at. And I think you stopped short of saying it, so I'll say it, that the institutions are each going to operate based on these budgets with or without our approval here today. So, okay. But I'm just, I have a lot of concern about this, so I'll just leave it there. Regent Goodman.
With your concerns, Chair, I have no problem pushing this to the special meeting in January or February, whenever we have our next special meeting. It sounds like there's not any repercussions, and that way we can get the details so that, it does no good to sit here and express concerns and then pass it.
Agreed. Regent, I'm sorry, President Klippenstein, and then I'll go to Vice Chair Breger.
President Klippenstein, for the record, thank you very much, Chair Carvalho. I just want to seek clarification as we move forward, and maybe this is for Chris Fatton as well, is this report is about self-supporting budgets, and some of the dialogue regarding tuition, enrollment, fees, and so forth would be under the state accounts. So as we go through and trying to help on the back end, be able to prepare you the right information, I just want to make sure that there's an understanding of the self versus the state side. And I didn't know if Chris had any comments there on that. These are self-supporting budgets, so there's a different revenue stream that's accounted for in this versus the state, which accounts for the tuition and fees. And so if there needs to be more on that regard, I just want to seek clarification as a president working with my CFO as well, what we would need to do to provide you more information. So I just wanted to ask that question or seek added guidance.
I appreciate that, and I think that there needs to be some additional information on the state-supported side as well that will tie these in. CFO Fatton, if you have anything more to add to that, I'd appreciate it.
No, Chris Fatton, for the record, I understand the question, and again, I think I would look to discuss it with the business officers as we develop the response as we bring it forward for the January meeting.
Regent Goodman.
And I would just like to add, I'm not putting the onus of this on the institutions. I'm sorry, CFO Fatton, but it's on you. So we need, as CFO, we need you to ask this of the institutions, because this is something where we, they're going to do what they're expected to do. So I think we just need, as the NSHE office, have a higher standard so that we can ask for a little bit more detail as we move forward to approve.
Thank you. Regent Breger, Vice Chair Breger, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Susan Breger, for the record, what is the earliest that these reports could come to us?
Chris Fatton, for the record. So these being self-supporting, I think that's a question that could be answered differently than the state-supported operating budgets. The state-supported operating budgets are difficult, particularly in a legislative year, because the budgets aren't finalized by the legislature in time to bring them any earlier. Then the absolute earliest would be September. Historically, the board has received these reports at their September meeting, and we've been discussing at business officers about backing the schedule up in order to bring these to the September meeting. That has been the historical time frame when New Year budgets were brought to the committee for review.
Okay, that's what I thought. So that would probably, for next year, I think if we plan for that, would be much better, because then if we get to this situation, we have time in October, to come back and have the questions answered. It's hard for people sitting there right this moment to dig into that or have their CFOs do that. So hopefully that'd be the pleasure of the board next year.
All right, thank you. So if there is no other discussion, Regent Gokachia.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I think we probably need to clarify it both for staff and for the president. Again, just exactly what we're looking for. But typically, I really don't care about where we're trending, and I think, as Andrew Klinger said, to me, it's more about how you're trending, what your reserves are. All right. And yeah, you can have any one of the differences. They're all over the board as we look at these budgets, any budget. But again, you got to see where you're trending, what your ending fund reserves are. Are they less this year than they were last year? Then you've got an issue, or you're in good shape. If they're more, if it's growing, you've got a problem. So I think, in all fairness to Mr. Baton, what do we want on these? I think we probably here as a board looking for the big picture. We really don't care about, oh, this is self-funding, this is state funding. We want to know the bottom line at the end. Okay, this is where we're at. This is what we're going to bring in for revenues. This is what we're going to expend. This is what we're going to either have in reserves, or this is what our deficit is. And if it's a deficit, it should be shrinking. And so, I guess to you and to Mr. Baton, that's kind of what I'm looking for. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of numbers. I want to see trend and where we're headed, because in the end of the day, like you say, we've got to pay for a COLA and some benefits, and that's going to cost a lot of money. And I unfortunately was in the legislature when we approved everybody getting this pay raise that we're not going to try and pay for. So, and we knew that was coming, and it cost money. And so the bottom line is, I'm more interested in trends. And yeah, we know, we hear, enrollment's up. Yeah, that's good. Is it going to continue? We can't really guarantee that. So the bottom line is, I want to see what the reserves are, what the deficit is, and where we're trending. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Gocochea. Any other questions? All right, well, this is for possible action. Oh, yes, please, Mr. Pearl.
Thank you, Chair Carvalho, Mike Pearl. For the record, VP for Finance, Government Relations at IT. So some of the things that we were talking about today, I want to be able to explain it and what you're seeing. And I talked to my budget director just now, and she gave me a great example of why TMCC's numbers are very different. So I'm just going to read this verbatim. Items were bucketed in Workday by departments incorrectly in FY25 amounts and FY amounts in 25 that were in student tuition and fees and are in the transfers now in FY26. So we're seeing a mistake there in the difference between FY25 and 26. So when you look at our numbers, and we're $1.6 million difference, those are accounted for in the transfers in when you go to FY26. That's where our difference is. So it was a mistake in FY25. We've corrected it, and now you're seeing that with the budgeted numbers. That's why our actual budgets didn't go down. It's the way that we captured it in Workday and then how that translated into the report. So hopefully that explains a little bit.
And this is for tuition and fees?
Yes, for tuition and fees, specifically for TMCC, the way we bucketed it in FY25 versus 26 was different, and we accounted for it in different sections of this report. And so that's where the confusion is coming from.
Okay, bear with me. I'm trying to get to unless you have it in front of you, I'm trying to look through all of these to get to that, to get to TMCCs. Anyway, I think that there's, so we don't waste any more time, but I think that there's a lot of work that can be done on these budgets. So I think we can move on. If there's a motion, yes, Regent Goodman.
And for me also, just an explanation like that. I trust that all of you institutions are doing what's best for your institution. It's just when we get numbers like this and it's just trust us, we just need an explanation. You can't expect us to vote for stuff when we don't have any explanation. So thank you, President Heavey. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate those, Mike, thank you. I appreciate all of those explanations. That's really what I'm looking for, along with what Regent Gocochea said. I don't need to get into numbers. It's not my strong point. But what I will say is I can see disparities and I'd like explanations and trends. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to see budgets that make sense based on actuals. Okay, so this is an item for possible action. Is there a motion? There is no motion at this time, so this item is, how do we work this out?
Call on me. So to Mr. Vitone, and I just forgot your title, is why I said that. I don't know why. What would it do? You're hearing, a lot of different things here, and we understand we need to move forward. What would it do to bring this back early January if we're able to? For the explanations that people seem to be looking for.
This is Chris Fatone for the record, and certainly I'm happy to work with the campuses to bring this back in January. In terms of the consequences of not approving the budget today, as I mentioned earlier, these are self-supporting budgets that are incurring revenues and expenses to date, and the campuses they'll have to work with their continued planned budgets until they're approved.
And Jimmy Martinez for the record.
Yes, Mr. Martinez.
If there's no motion to approve the item today, it could be a motion to postpone this item to a special meeting in January.
That's why I was asking the question that I did, so that we understand they're going to keep moving forward because they have to. And so we're not doing this. I don't think it stops them from what they need to do. We just are looking for more clarification. So I'm going to make a motion that we bring this back early January, hopefully within the first 2 weeks. I can't control that, but that's just a suggestion. That would be my motion.
And that special meeting would be dedicated to the budget?
I won't do a time certain. I'll just say January.
Second.
Thank you. So I have a motion from Vice Chair Brager to bring this item back to a special meeting in January, and a second from Regent Goodman. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 7 has been withdrawn. Item number 8, lease agreement with KLQOZB2 LLC for an academic building in North Las Vegas. And for this, I will go to Acting President Amber Lopez Lassiter.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chair, Vice Chair. Acting President Lopez Lassiter for the record. Absolutely delighted to have the opportunity to present this item for your consideration today. As you heard from both the mayor and the mayor pro tem on the why related to this project, we believe strongly around the transformational power that higher education can have to a community. So I do want to thank the mayor pro tem, the entire team of the city of North Las Vegas for their vision. I am hoping to walk you through some additional context as to the why, and then turn it over to Mr. Vic Redding to go through the specific mechanics as to the business model. Also want to thank Mike Wixom and Chris Fatone for all of their help and expertise. Oh, and I have a PowerPoint. I don't know if it's cute, but I'm happy to just keep moving. The item that is before you today in terms of consideration is the request for the approval of a 10-year lease of the establishment of a campus in North Las Vegas. This specific project is the Gateway Village project. It's a 19-acre multi-use redevelopment where Nevada State University will have the opportunity to serve as the anchor there. In terms of locations and considerations, as part of our mission, access is key. So we're looking to both increase access, increase enrollment capacity, and also foster community-tailored educational offerings. In terms of the specific site layout, services, and programming, that is really the second phase of this project over these last several last months, and then over the timetable that we've been engaged with the city, we've been looking at the how in terms of the business model. A key thing that we look at in terms of how the business model will work is tied to enrollment. And we have seen tremendous growth in the North Las Vegas area. And we also see a tremendous opportunity for the conversion rates of our applications in that area to being enrolled students. I am also really excited about the connectivity in that area. We've had the opportunity to meet with our sister institutions, both CSN and UNLV. There are other projects that are happening right in that area and looking to see how Nevada State can continue to strongly serve as the mid-tier institution and looking to prepare students and to make sure that they're in the right place. That could start with partnerships with students being at CSN and then coming to us at Nevada State at the North Las Vegas campus. We're starting with Nevada State and then moving on to our sister institution, UNLV. And with that said, I will turn it over to Mr. Vic Redding to go through some of the specifics as to the business model itself. Thank you.
Good morning and thank you. For the record, Vic Redding with Nevada State University assisting on this project. And if I could add on a personal note, it's a pleasure to be in front of this committee again. I'd like to spend a few moments on, this is where I dramatically point to the budget slides on the PowerPoint, but I'll just talk through those with my notes if I could. So I'd like to put the business terms and affordability notes on the record. First, with regards to the specific lease terms, our request for board approval this morning is for a 10-year triple net lease for a wholly occupied 30,000 square foot newly constructed building. At the end of that 10-year term, Nevada State would have the option, with future board approval, to either extend the lease for an additional 10 years, purchase the building outright, or in the unlikely event that this is not a successful venture, there is an escape ramp to end the relationship. One of the first exercises I did with this lease was to benchmark the effective rate, which, assuming a 3% inflation rate over the term of the agreement, translates to a rate that's about 23% under the market term, coupled with a 3.7% vacancy rate in office space in North Las Vegas. It gave us the confidence that this was an attractive opportunity for otherwise scarce space in this location in the valley. And this is actually slide 15 in your packet. But as I've explained to my teenage daughter just as recently as this past Black Friday, getting a good deal on something you can't really afford isn't a great deal overall. So the meat of this analysis, and I'm on to the next slide, 16 now, is a break even to see if this new campus could come online without putting a strain on the existing Nevada State budget. There were a number of planets that had to come into alignment for this to occur. The first, and by far largest, was the agreement with the City of North Las Vegas for rent assistance for the first 5 years. As you heard from the City of North Las Vegas Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem this morning, those financial commitments from the city, they're actually the cornerstone of this budget, and they were the momentum that pushed us over the finish line. That rent subsidy agreement is included in your packet as information item B, but in summary, it provides a direct payment for the entire rent and building operating costs for this new campus for the first 5 years. This gives Nevada State ample opportunity to build the critical mass of new students to engage future state formula funding. I'd like to spend a moment on that aspect, which is the second largest planet that we brought into alignment, state funding. If you'll recall, the state funding formula does not provide rent or building O&M separately to instructional institutions. Rather, all of the funding comes by way of weighted student credit hours. I approach this analysis from the perspective of how many and when would Nevada State need to realize new students to generate future formula funding to cover not only incremental instructional and support costs, but also the rent and operational costs in year 6 and beyond. So using actual NSU averages for student credit hours, I was able to project the new students necessary to ensure the break even for the North Las Vegas campus was met through incremental formula funding and registration fees. And again, if you're able to look at that slide 16, I believe it is, you'll see that there's fairly modest growth in student headcount in the formula count years to generate the incremental funds necessary to avoid an unfunded liability. For context and comparison, that cohort of 200 new students in fiscal 28 represents about 2.4% of what is the current total Nevada State enrollment, 2.4% being well below their average annual growth rate for the past several years. And you'll notice I use the word new students. Several hundred existing Nevada State students live close to the location of the proposed new campus, closer than they do to the main campus in Henderson. We fully expect many of those students will take at least some of their classes at the new facility, and that's a good thing. While removing the transportation barrier for those existing students will certainly boost persistence and completion, the weighted student credit hours and registration fees for those students are already accounted for in the existing budget. So while some students may move, and again, we hope they do, this break-even budget is only considering new incremental state funding and registration fees. And the third planet to come into alignment is the one-time startup funding. As the state's formula funding provides dollars for new enrollments in arrears, we need to use one-time funds to cover the operating costs in the startup years. This project also benefits from a generous one-shot allocation of $2.5 million through SB 498 of the 25 session, as well as several substantial gifts and set-asides of institutional one-time funds, such as income distributions, to ensure those startup and initial years of costs are covered until the new formula funding is realized. There is a much more detailed budget in your packet by line item as attachment C, but if I could emphasize just one point from this, it would be that both the startup funds and the ongoing budget is predicated on these new dollars, not on diluting current institution enrollments, staffing, or budget lines. So I'd like to close briefly with a preview of next steps. While the expectation is the new campus academic offerings will ultimately mirror many of those at the main Henderson campus when it is fully built out, the discussions on the initial mix of programmings will begin immediately with a campus task force meeting Monday, pending your approval of this agreement. These will inform the specific spaces like size, number of classrooms, student support spaces, computer testing labs, collaboration spaces, all of those unique spaces that make a campus. And you'll note in the requested motion that approval for those interior spaces is delegated to the chancellor as we move forward through the campus shared governance process to keep the developer on his timeline for completion. With that, I'd like to stop and see if there's any questions we can answer. I'd also note that we do have principals from Agora Development with us today to assist with any questions you may have, as well as the city of North Las Vegas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Redding, and welcome back. I will open it up first to Vice Chair Brager and then to Regent Fernandez.
Thank you so much. How exciting, not just for our system, but for North Las Vegas. But a couple of questions for the public out there. They're probable, because I know things can happen in construction. Opening date are we looking at? Like what school year? Do we know? And I'm not holding you to it, but just to get an idea.
Thank you for the question, Regent Amber Lopez-Laster, for the record, fall of 27.
Fall of 27. Okay, and then my next comment, and I think it goes along with what we're doing, will there be an opportunity, and I think this would be so exciting, and I know that Regent Goodman and I were going to look into this no matter what, to visit campuses in that area. So go to the 8th and 9th graders, and of course 10th graders possibly, to not only encourage, they right now have sometimes an attitude of they can't. We would like to share that they can, and that we could teach what opportunities are out there with this campus coming so that they can be encouraged to know that this is so viable for them. And I don't want to get off task here, so I see you. But so that's just, I know the parameters, I'm just trying to cheat a little bit, no. So I would love to be able to work on something like that. It's just a passion of mine, and it would be very exciting, and I'll leave it there so I don't get in trouble.
Again, thank you for the question, Regent. Absolutely. We've had several conversations around what the ability and opportunity to partner in that specific area would look like. Also partnering closely with CCSD and with the school district and the schools in the area. I believe strongly and am absolutely thrilled about the opportunity for someone to step foot into a beautiful 30,000 square foot building, and for that to really be the first step in unlocking an entire higher educational journey.
Thank you. Regent Fernandez.
I just wanted to acknowledge how important this project is to a community who's minority majority, in ensuring that we are giving access to a community that really lacks it. I've met with students before that attend NSU and commute 45 minutes to an hour just to get to school. And as we all know, traffic to get to Henderson or out of Henderson can be pretty rough. This is such an incredible partnership between the city of North Las Vegas and NSU, both entities that are in such an incredible trajectory up. And as we really look to align, this is really all about access as well, right? It is about giving people an opportunity. Those that live. This facility will exist neighboring my district, but my district doesn't encompass much of the city of North Las Vegas, and there are a lot of folks there who cannot afford to commute, who do not have the chance to earn a baccalaureate education, and I think this really helps solve that. So I'm incredibly proud to support this effort. I'm glad that NSU and all of the partner entities, the City of North Las Vegas, so on and so forth, have really gotten together to present something that, to me, is an absolute no-brainer. The City of North Las Vegas, a personal shout out to you all for truly putting your money where their mouth is, right? And really wanting to invest in the communities that have for a very long time not had the opportunity to thrive, and you're all really giving that. So thank you all for your commitment, for your investment, and for the trust that you're putting in all of us as a board to really give access to communities who really will benefit from it.
Thank you. I'll just echo what everybody said. I am very excited about this project. I think it is very important that we are where our students are, and this is an important project to be student ready. We ask our students to be college ready, but we need to be student ready as well, and this project shows that. And I appreciate your enthusiasm, President, for partnerships with not only the school district, but also other institutions within our system. I think that makes for a greater partnership with the city of North Las Vegas. And I really do appreciate the mayor and councilmen who came out and voiced their support for this. We know that they are very enthusiastic about this. We also know that Agora is very, very excited to get going on this, and I know that they have a lot of experience in projects like this. So look forward to that partnership and feel very good about this. And I will just say I want to hold you to increasing your enrollment in that area. I think that that's very important, and I think that can be done very easily. So thank you. Thank you.
Chair?
Yes.
If there's no other comments or questions, I would like to make a motion that I'm certain everybody would like to do for acceptance of item number 8 to have the lease agreement with KLQ OZB 2 LLC. I'll leave it at that. So motion for acceptance.
Second.
Thank you. So I have a motion from Regent Vice Chair Brager and then a second from Regent Fernandez. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, all those opposed? That motion carries. I'm sorry, Regent Goodman, please.
It's okay. Thank you. I just wanted to say, and I'm not beating a dead horse, but I really appreciate the due diligence on the financial end of this. And secondly, I think it's really more about what we've talked about with access. And I think we're going to go after a completely different population of students here. And so I think that that's really incredible, those students that just think that they can't go to school. And that's really the foundation of why we're all here. So I just want to thank you for that. And I want to thank our wonderful mayor from North Las Vegas and the city councilman for their support. And also the developer involved. I used to do redevelopment many years ago. And it's really wonderful to have a developer that has this kind of a goal to be a part of something bigger and redeveloping an area that is currently nothing's there, and it's going to be a really vibrant space. So thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. We will move on to item number 9. Short-term ground lease with Z Athletic Group, Inc. for a portion of the UNLV-owned 42-acre property. And for this, I will go to Interim President Chris Heavey.
Thank you, Interim President Chris Heavey. For the record, we are asking for approval from the board to lease roughly 10 acres of land on the 42 acres of property for 3 years with 2 possible 1-year extensions at UNLV's discretion in order to allow Z Athletics to build temporary sports facilities, including an indoor track. And this would generate roughly $2.5 million of revenue over the first 3 years of the lease, bringing in roughly $70,000 a month starting upon the execution of the lease. This is an opportunity to generate some additional revenue from that land while we look for the long-term disposition of the land. And we believe the 3-year timeline for this lease allows us sufficient flexibility so that it would not interfere with any other realistic plans we might develop for the long-term disposition of the land. Happy to answer any questions and have our CFO and our AVP of Planning and Construction here if they have any detailed questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll open the floor to Regents. Questions?
Not seeing any questions, I would make a motion for approval of the short-term ground lease with Z Athlete Group Incorporated for the portion of the UNLV-owned 42-acre property.
Thank you, Vice Chair Brager. Is there a second?
I'll second that. Regent Goicoechea.
Thank you, Regent Goicoechea. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 10, proposed land easement to the Boring Company for tunnel infrastructure beneath UNLV property. Interim President Chris Heavey.
Thank you, Interim President of UNLV, Chris Heavey. For the record, this is the third time we've actually come before you with an item for the Boring Company. As I think people know from the news, the Boring Company is interested in providing access in their loop project to the airport. And they have a piece of land across the street from the campus on University Center Drive, sitting between University Center and Paradise, which would become a station. And as they leave their tunnel from that surface station, they would essentially glance underneath the edge of the Thomas and Mack Center parking lot. We've had quite a few discussions with the Boring Company, including contemplating putting a station in the Thomas and Mack Center parking lot. And our team, after considering the various pluses and minuses of that, decided to simply recommend an underground ground easement. And what we're asking for today is that you would approve us executing a deal with the chancellor having final sign-off to issue that easement at the appraised value. The Boring Company is looking to move quickly to access the airport, and therefore they would like to see this item move forward as quickly as possible. And so we apologize for not having the actual appraisal in hand. We think we'll have that within a few weeks, and we won't sell it for anything other than the appraised value. If the appraised value comes in higher than the Boring Company would want to pay, then we would simply not do this deal. I also didn't know about the concerns raised by the students this morning, but I've tracked the news on the issues that have hit the popular press about the Boring Company, and I would say those are beyond the scope of my role in this. The tunnel that they're talking about would roughly be 50 feet or so underground, under just a small portion of our land. We do not anticipate any disruption at all to campus activities, to traffic, or anything else, because they'll be way underground by the time they touch UNLV property. And ultimately, if they decide the easement that we're offering is too expensive, they would find a different access for moving south toward the airport to the piece of property that they have purchased on the other side of Tropicana, also between University Center and Paradise Roads. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, and again, have our CFO and our Associate VP of Planning and Construction who have been involved in this deal who may help.
Thank you, President Heavey. Regent Goodman.
Thank you for that explanation. You've answered all my questions, and I'll be very interested to see how much the appraisal comes in for that parcel underground. So it'll be interesting. And with that, I'd like to move for approval.
Okay, so there is a motion from Regent Goodman. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, second from Vice Chair Brager. So I'll open it up to discussion. Regent Fernandez.
Sorry. So I do. I just have a quick question based on what GPSA came up with it with the sludge or whatever. Is there anything that UNLV can do to get a little bit more information on what that might be in the environmental impacts of this, or is that something that is really more handled by the boring company? How would that work?
Thanks for the question, Regent Fernandez. My understanding of this is that we would be held harmless in any impacts on the campus. And obviously, the boring company is working with Clark County to receive permits for the work they're doing. And so I would expect, though I don't actually know, that the boring company is working directly with Clark County to resolve any of the concerns that have been identified in the media. And I don't know if CFO Bonkowski would like to add to that. Thank you. It's not on. No, it's a delay, so.
Maybe. Yeah? Oh, there we go. Okay. Regent Fernandez, we do have Tyler Fairbanks from the Boring Company here as well to address some concerns. To President Hebe's response, though, this is strictly going underground and will not, at this time, we're not looking for a station or any of those things, and we are working with legal counsel to make sure that UNLV would not be held liable for these items. But if you want to talk to Tyler, he's here.
Great. Tyler Fairbanks with the Boring Company, for the record. I guess the first thing is it's extremely important for us when we're working with UNLV to make sure that the students are excited about what we're building. I think at our core with the Boring Company, we're an engineering company that wants to make the infrastructure around us inspiring and exciting. So the first thing that I wanted to say is, Mr. Dunze, we'd like to work with you and your group to get students in to tour the system that we have here in Las Vegas, to show you what this is, to give you a behind the scenes on what exactly the Boring Company is doing in Las Vegas. We've actually had a number of UNLV student tours before as well, but really want to extend that, get as many students in as possible to show you exactly what this is. As for those specific issues, we work very closely with NDEP. We actually have third-party inspectors, third-party environmental inspectors on our site every week. On the safety side of things, we work very closely with OSHA. We have a number of inspectors between the building department, many third-party inspectors. So we're absolutely committed to ensuring that we are environmentally compliant, that we are compliant from a safety standpoint. It's actually like the most important thing for our company. So again, it's absolutely critical to us. We're happy to provide more information and really give the behind the scenes for the students as well.
Thank you. Regent Boylan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We've been going back and forth with this project for years, and I think it's the same young man who's been coming to us, right? You guys all look like GQ.
Yes, sir.
Very clean, very nice. I still don't see how this is going to benefit the students of UNLV. UNLV comes in my district, and I spoke to a bunch of students who live there, go to school here, well, I'm saying there, and I don't see any benefit to the students. Just money coming into the university isn't good enough for me. We had agreed at one time that they were going to make the station right there at the corner, but they were not going to give the students any discounts. You got to have the art of the deal. And what do you offer back to us? I know you pay us a wee bit of money, but how does it benefit the students?
Chris Heavey, Interim President of UNLV, for the record, and thank you for your question, Regent Boylan. Our assessment of why we're coming to you asking for this approval and why I support this project is twofold. One is what we're essentially giving an easement for is land that there's no other conceivable use for. It's essentially 50 feet underground on the edge of a parking lot. And so we, as I said in my opening remarks, and can't conceive of any negative benefits to any actual direct cost to the campus. And so we would essentially be realizing revenue for giving up an easement of some piece of property that we would never be able to use anyway. And the other piece of it is we do see this as an important community project, which has been supported by the county, which is supported by the LVCVA, and which potentially has many benefits to the residents of Southern Nevada in terms of giving them access to key locations such as the Convention Center, Allegiant Stadium, and other places of interest, the airport as well. And so, one of the things that I see crucial to UNLV and as my vision as the leader of UNLV is to be a good community partner to other agencies as they seek to realize their own community projects that would benefit the community, especially when it would have no direct negative impacts on our campus.
Thank you, President Heavy, but I see no benefit for the students. We can make a win-win situation here and have them make the station at the corner where the students can use it to the airport, to the strip or wherever. Right now, all those things are very nice. They always sound good, politically correct. We want to be a good partner. We want to do good things. Let's do better things and help the students. They are our clients, not the boring company. We're making it easy for them. Let's do something for the students.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Regent Boylan. Again, Chris Heavy, interim president of UNLV, for the record. I'll say that the Boring Company did offer us a station on our Thomas and Mack Center parking lot at no cost. And after extensive consultation with our team, we declined that offer.
Why?
And the reason ultimately is because our parking service does not connect directly to DMV, and therefore the types of tickets that we give to people are not enforceable beyond the boundaries of our campus. And one of the concerns became managing the parking that might be associated with that station. And I'll give you the short version of it, which is we were worried about the Thomas and Mack Center parking lot becoming the free parking lot for the airport. And basically people leaving their cars in our parking lot and jumping on the station to access the airport, and us having very little ability to control that. And so, CFO Bonkowski can speak to this, but I think she'll attest to the fact that it was us who declined their offer of a free station. And we did have many back and forths about this, about whether or not we thought we could do that in a way that would benefit the students. And we ultimately decided that this is the cleanest solution for the campus. And so it really wasn't the Boring Company. It was really us who chose this strategy.
President Heavy, thank you for that. But I see that as an opportunity where we charge those cars extra money and we make more money in the parking lot, and we have the money to do all the stuff that you think is difficult. Half the time it's lying empty. You can go there now. That corner is empty. The cars don't park that far.
Well,
so it's an opportunity. Let's look at all the pluses for the students.
Well,
ma'am, okay, go ahead.
If I could start first, let me say thank you for that question, Regent Boylan. And that's exactly where I started. And I basically had that conversation multiple times with CFO Bonkowski, and she consulted with her team and convinced me that although that seems like a good idea, she convinced me that it actually doesn't probably turn out to be a good idea in practice. And I'll let her speak to that.
If I may, Chair Caravallo, I just want to point out that this whole topic is starting to get beyond the scope of the agenda item.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll.
Okay, Chair, to Council, how is it beyond the scope? It's about getting that piece of land to the Boring Company, and we can do something good for the students and the university. How is it off scope, sir? Just because you're saying it?
Jimmy Martinez, for the record, the agenda item is about a lease to the Boring Company for the specific.
Right.
This item is talking about a station and parking for the airport.
And it's part of the lease, and all that parking is part of the lease of this entity going below the property. So above the ground and under the ground is all the same thing. I'm thinking about the students and how do they benefit. Nowhere do I see them benefiting in any way.
Regent Boylan, thank you for your comments. I appreciate that.
And I appreciate you, ma'am. Thank you. I know you want to cut me off because you guys don't want to answer the correct questions. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. I do want to weigh in on this as well. Normally an easement is with a public entity for utilities or things like that. This is a proposal for an easement with a private company. I am concerned that we are setting a precedent if we decide to just go forward with this without knowing what the appraisal is. I appreciate the Boring Company's effort to try to move this forward, but I would like to see the appraisal before we vote on this. That's a large unknown right now, and I think that it's important for us to see that before we weigh in on this. So I will not be supporting this in the way that it looks right now, because I would like to see the appraisal before we go forward.
Thank you, Regent Carvalho, for that question. Chris Heavey, Interim President of UNLV, for the record. The provision in the request to the board would have a 15-day notification period before any deal would be executed, with the ability of the chancellor to have the final sign-off. And so one possible solution to that would be you would have 15 days to notify the chancellor if you were uncomfortable with what the amount of the appraisal is. But obviously, we'll respect whatever decision the board ultimately makes on this.
And I appreciate that, but I'd like that decision to be in the hands of the committee and not the chancellor, to be frank. I think that this is an important item, like has been said before. This has come before this committee, and at this point, I don't think that if the appraisal is only a few weeks out, we can add this to a special meeting in January as well. I don't think we need to rush through this before we understand what the appraisal is.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So, yes, Regent Goodman.
I'd like to address a couple of things with respect to my colleague. First of all, I think that it's, this is revolutionary. It's that they're boring a hole under the ground. So, I'm sure whatever we think that appraisal should be, it's unprecedented. So it's a hole under the ground that it's not like it's a typical easement where you're taking something above ground. So I just want to address that, because the appraisal, I'm just glad we're getting some money for this. It's great, as this piece of Thomas and Mack. And then also to my other colleague, I think that the issue, I can see what you're saying with the parking, but what President Heavey said is, we can't enforce parking tickets. So, if it becomes free parking and UNLV becomes this parking lot, we can send them as many tickets as we want, and guess what? They don't have to pay, and so we could maybe have a problem. So that's why I just wanted to clarify to you why that's not a concern.
But we could make money off those tickets. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Conversation.
That's all I have to say. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the Boring Company being here. This is revolutionary. Maybe everyone should watch the Saturday Night Live skit that they did, because it was great. But I'm a fan of this. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. I'm not saying that I'm opposed to it. I just think that we should have all of the information in front of us before we make the decision. That's what I'd just like to say. Regent Gocochea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you're right. It's all about the appraisal. And clearly, in my mind, when you put the hole down there, even at 50 feet, you bought the surface too. You're not going to build on it. Because above that, you're not going to put a multi-story building. So it's pretty much you're selling the property. It's a total value in this lease. I'm fine if we do it in a special meeting, approve it, but I have a lot of faith in the chancellor as well. So I don't think he's going to give it away, and you have to determine it would be pretty much the cash value of that property is what it's going to take in this lease. Thank you.
And
President Heavey?
Yeah, thank you for that comment, Regent Gocochea. And I'll just add that, we consider the notion of would it have any impacts on any potential building we can conceive of. And because it just touches such a small edge of the parking lot next to the street, we can't conceive that we would ever put a building on that particular piece of land. So understand that, concern, and we did think about that as we contemplated putting this forward for the request for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. So there is a motion and a second on the floor. Seeing no other discussion at this time, perhaps we take a roll call vote because we had so much discussion. So Klaus, are you ready for us? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yes, Madam Chair. Regent Goodman.
Yes.
Regent Gocochea.
Yes.
Regent Fernandez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Brager. Chair Carvalho.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That motion does pass. All right, thank you so much for being here today with us, and look forward to working with you if that appraisal comes in at a mutually beneficial place. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Board.
All right, item number 11, Life Sciences Building Design and Planning Update, UNR. And for this, I'll go to University of Nevada, Reno President Brian Sandoval.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Brian Sandoval, President of the University of Nevada. Thank you for the opportunity to present on this agenda item. We're excited to provide you an update on the Life Sciences building. We'd like to begin by expressing our deep appreciation to Governor Lombardo and the Nevada Legislature for their strong support and approval of this project. Their commitment has been essential in allowing the university to move this critical project forward. I'd also like to thank all of you, the Board of Regents, for making the construction of a new life sciences building one of your top priorities. I am pleased to report that the university now has the funding and the necessary pre-design to move forward on an accelerated timeline. During the 2025 regular session of the Nevada Legislature, lawmakers appropriated $6.2 million for design and planning, and the university provided the required match using investment income funds. This support allowed us to advance the formal design process earlier this year, building directly upon work already completed. Then, during the 36th special session in November, the legislature approved Senate Bill 4, appropriating $68.5 million in state funding toward the construction of the building, representing half of the total construction cost. In addition, the university has secured a $30 million private gift that we will bring to you for approval at a later meeting. This will be the largest philanthropic investment ever made toward a science facility at the university. Together, this funding put us in the position to break ground in 2026 and open the building in 2029. Nevada urgently needs more graduates in the life and health sciences. This building will serve more than 4,000 students annually, preparing them for careers in medicine, nursing, veterinary medicine, biotechnology, laboratory sciences, environmental science, agriculture, and public health. Every year of delay limits our state's ability to graduate and retain the professionals who will support Nevada's healthcare system, bioscience economy, and environmental infrastructure. This investment is essential, not optional, for Nevada's future workforce and research capacity. A key advantage for this project is the substantial pre-design work the university completed in January of 2020. That pre-design study provides a highly refined roadmap for the building. The early work includes comprehensive programming and space planning, architectural and site design, detailed engineering narratives, and a full cost model and project schedule. Because the pre-design work was already complete, the $6.2 million appropriated in the 2025 session allowed the university to immediately move into the next formal design stage earlier this year, rather than spending time completing the foundational work required for projects of this magnitude. This early momentum shortens the design timeline, reduces risk, and significantly strengthens our ability to meet the 2026 groundbreaking and 2029 opening. So, Chair, members of the committee, with the extensive pre-design completed in 2020, the planning funds provided in 2025, the $68.5 million appropriated in the special session, and the extraordinary $30 million private gift, the university is now fully positioned to advance this project without delay. The Life Sciences building will transform our ability to educate Nevada's future physicians, nurses, biotechnologists, veterinarians, scientists, and public health professionals. It will expand research capacity, support economic diversification, and strengthen Nevada's competitiveness for decades to come. So again, we thank you for your continued consideration and support of this project. I'm happy to answer any questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, President Sandoval. Any questions from the committee or others? Regent Breaker. Oh, and this is for information only. Yes, please, Regent Gokachia.
Actually,
I just want to thank President Sandoval and all his people. This wasn't easy to put together, and some of us that understand it, good job. Thank you.
Madam Chair, to Regent Gogachia, thank you.
Thank you. This is exciting that this project is moving forward, so thank you for providing us an update. We'll move on to item number 12, Mathewson University Gateway Hotel Conference Center update. President Sandoval.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Brian Sandoval, President of the University of Nevada. I appreciate the opportunity to provide an informational update on the university's ongoing work within the Mathewson University Gateway District, specifically the development of the Gateway Hotel Conference Center. As you may recall, in December of 2021, we presented our vision for the Gateway District, including both the new College of Business building and a hotel conference center as central components of a vibrant and welcoming southern entrance to campus. In June 2023, you approved the College of Business building as the first academic project in the district. Today, our focus turns to the next major component of this vision, the Gateway Hotel Conference Center. The university continues its due diligence, financial analysis, and negotiations to structure the project effectively. We are drafting a proposed ground lease that we anticipate bringing to the board for future consideration. The envisioned hotel will occupy approximately 1 acre within the Mathewson University Gateway District. The project is expected to be financed primarily through tax-exempt bonds, with the potential for a significant portion of the overall project costs to be financed through a loan from the Nevada Infrastructure Bank. Importantly, the repayment of the bonds and the infrastructure bank loan will be supported exclusively by revenues generated by the hotel itself, and the Nevada system of higher education will bear no liability. Say that, the Nevada system of higher education will bear no liability for the repayment of this debt. The hotel operating revenues after debt service and operating costs will flow back to the university to support programs and priorities that benefit our students, faculty, and campus community. We anticipate receiving an updated cost estimate in early 2026, which will provide clarity on market conditions, construction costs, and financing assumptions. Pending the updated cost estimate and completion of financial modeling, we anticipate bringing an action item to the board sometime next year related to the ground lease and the final financing structure for the project. The Gateway Hotel Conference Center will strengthen the university's mission in several important ways. It will enhance access by providing on-campus accommodations for prospective students, visiting families, and participants in campus events, including Board of Regents and staff when we have meetings on our campus. It will support student and faculty success through modern meeting spaces designed for academic programming, recruitment activities, athletic events, and university advancement efforts. It will also serve as a welcoming space for Wolfpack alumni, partners, and the broader Reno community. This project also aligns strongly with broader regional economic trends. According to the most recent report from the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority, in 2024, the Reno-Tahoe region welcomed approximately 3.8 million visitors. So what does that mean for us? A university-affiliated hotel and conference center located at the southern entrance to campus will position the university to participate more directly in this growing regional economy, aiding both university-driven and community-oriented events. Again, today's item is informational only. We will return to you with a more comprehensive financing package and anticipate requesting board approval of the ground lease and related agreements next year. So, Madam Chair and members of the committee, thank you for your continued consideration and support for the university and engagement as we advance this important component of the Mathewson University Gateway District. And as always, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, President Sandoval. Seeing no, yes, Regent Gogachia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Regent Gokachia for the record. I just hope you get it built so I can stay in it once before I'm out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It is an exciting addition to that area of campus, and we look forward to hearing more on that.
No, and I'm
yes.
sure you looked at, excuse me, Madam Chair. For the record, Brian Sandoval, there are some renderings there as part of your materials, so we're very excited about the project.
As are we as well. Thank you. We will move on to item number 13, update on potential sale of approximately 20 plus or minus acres of university property to U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. President Sandoval.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Brian Sandoval, President of the University of Nevada in Reno. I am pleased to provide an informational update on the university's ongoing discussions with the United States Department of Veteran Affairs regarding the potential sale of approximately 20 acres of university-owned property for the development of a new VA hospital and campus in Reno, Nevada. Earlier this year, in partnership with the state of Nevada, the university submitted a proposal to explore this opportunity with the clear understanding that any future land sale would, of course, require the approval of this board. In June, you authorized us to continue these exploratory efforts. Since that time, the VA has formally initiated the National Environmental Policy Act process and held public scoping meetings in Reno. The VA is currently preparing a programmatic environmental impact statement with a draft anticipated in late summer 2026, followed by a final environmental impact statement and record of decision in early 2027. If those steps proceed as scheduled, we anticipate returning to the board to seek formal approval with a potential closing window between September and December of 2027. This project represents a unique opportunity to strengthen Nevada's healthcare infrastructure and enhance our academic, clinical, and research partnerships. Locating the VA hospital campus near our School of Medicine, Orvis School of Nursing, School of Public Health, School of Social Work, and other health science programs would expand training, research, and service opportunities for our students and faculty while improving access to care for Nevada's veterans. Again, at this time, this item is for information only. We look forward to returning to the board for future consideration and final approval. I'd be pleased to answer any questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, President Sandoval. Any comments or questions from the committee? Seeing none, I agree that this is another exciting project and very important to, if the VA can be adjacent to the UNR campus, that would be very much a great partnership for both institutions. So looking forward to that as well. Item number 14, Davidson Academy ground lease. President Sandoval.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Brian Sandoval, President of the University of Nevada in Reno. I'm pleased to present another informational update regarding the proposed ground lease between the university and a special purpose entity affiliated with the Davidson Academy and the David Institute for Talent Development. The Davidson Academy was established following authorization by the 2005 Nevada legislature to create a university school for profoundly gifted students, and depending on what ranking you look at, Madam Chair, it's either the #1 or #2 high school in the United States of America. In partnership with the Davidson Institute, the Academy has now operated on our campus for nearly 20 years. During that time, it has become a nationally recognized model for gifted education, and it has been an important and valued part of our academic community. The Academy currently occupies the Jott Travis building under a lease that expires in December of 2027. Over the past several years, the Academy has reached capacity and requires a long-term solution that will allow it to grow and continue fulfilling its mission. To support that future, the university and the Davidson Academy have identified a site on campus appropriate for the development of a purpose-built facility that the Academy will construct entirely at its own expense. And again, I like to make that clear for the record, at its own expense. Today's update outlines the principal terms of the proposed ground lease that will support the project. Key terms include the Davidson Academy's affiliated entity will design, fund, and construct the new facility at no cost to the university. The ground lease will be a long-term absolute triple net lease with all expenses borne by the lessee. The base term will be 40 years plus construction time with multiple renewal options. Upon expiration or termination of the lease, the land and all improvements, that means the building, will revert to the university at no cost. The facility will meet prevailing wage requirements and comply with all university design and architectural standards. And again, that was very important to us, that it be compatible with the university design and architecture that you see. And once the Academy occupies the new facility, the Jott Travis Building will return to the university for academic or administrative use, also at no cost to the university. This project preserves and strengthens a successful partnership that enhances access and student success for profoundly gifted learners while also supporting the university's strategic goals. It frees centrally located campus space, ensures efficient use of our assets, and advances long-term planning without creating any financial obligation for the university. Again, this is an informational item, Madam Chair. Following final due diligence, the university intends to return to the board at the March 2026 meeting to seek formal approval of the ground lease and related authorizations. So with that, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you, President Sandoval. I don't see any comments or questions on this one. Again, thank you for the mutually beneficial partnership with the Davidson Academy and going into their next chapter. So we'll move on to item number 15, lease amendment for 111 Sheckler Road in Fallon, Nevada. And this is for you again, President Sandoval.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Brian Sandoval, President of the University of Nevada in Reno. I'm pleased to present for you, for your consideration, the proposed lease amendment between the university and the United States Department of Agriculture for office space located at 111 Sheckler Road in Fallon, Nevada. The USDA has leased space in our cooperative extension building since 2012. Over the past 13 years, this partnership has proven to be productive and mutually beneficial. The Board of Regents has approved several prior amendments, most recently in 2017, 2020, and 2022, to extend USDA's occupancy and allow this collaboration to continue. The most recent lease extension expired in May of this year, and you may ask, why did it expire in May? Negotiating a new amendment was temporarily delayed due to a federal pause on contracting activities by the Acting Secretary of Agriculture. During that period, the USDA continued to pay rent and has remained a committed partner. Today, we are seeking approval to formally reactivate and extend the lease through May 31st of 2030. The amendment sets an annual rental amount of $85,706.40. I don't know how they came up with that number, but it's pretty precise, for 4,355 square feet of office space. USDA's presence in the Cooperative Extension Building has strengthened the services available to Churchill County residents. Co-locating federal agricultural programs with our extension operations creates a convenient one-stop location for stakeholders who often rely on both sets of resources. This alignment enhances information sharing, collaboration, and joint project development, all central to the mission of our College of Agriculture, Biotechnology, and Natural Resources. Madam Chair, again, thank you for your time and consideration. We respectfully request your favorable consideration of this agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you, President Sandoval. So this is for possible action to request the approval of a lease amendment between the university and the USDA for office space located at 111 Sheckler Road in Fallon, Nevada, extending the lease through May 31st, 2030. Regent Gokachia.
Yes, I would like to make that motion. I drove by it Tuesday. I echo what the President Sandoval says about it. It's a huge part of that community, and if we had to pay them, it would be worth it. So thank you. I'll make that motion.
Thank you for the motion.
Second.
Second from Regent Goodman. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Item number 16, resolution graduate faculty and staff housing affiliation agreement and pre-development agreement for 600 University Way. President Sandoval.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Brian Sandoval, President of the University of Nevada in Reno. I'm extremely excited to bring forward today the next major step in the university's long-term strategy to expand graduate student, faculty, and staff housing adjacent to our main campus. As you will recall, at the special board meeting in October, on October 17th, we presented an update on the very real and continuing demand for high-quality housing near campus. And while we've made meaningful progress through Ponderosa Village and the acquisition of University Village, the need remains substantial and persistent. Since that meeting, we have made significant progress. Today, we are requesting approval of two key components that will enable the University Village housing project at 600 University Way to advance toward financing, construction, and eventual opening in 2028. The pre-development agreement and the affiliation agreement. The University Village housing project is a proposed public-private partnership that will create 403 new housing units for our graduate students, medical residents, faculty, and staff. Located just 2 blocks from the new John Tulloch Business Building, this project occupies an entire city block and serves as a cornerstone in our effort to connect the campus core with downtown Reno. The proposed development includes mostly studio 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom units designed to meet the needs of our graduate and professional population. Planned amenities, a clubhouse, study space, fitness center, pool, business center, and on-site management will support an engaging and supportive residential experience. The project will be developed by a joint venture between Redstone Residential and Scenic Investments, with ownership held by a nonprofit special purpose entity wholly owned by NCCD, an organization with a national track record of successfully developing higher education facilities. The project will be financed through tax-exempt and taxable bonds issued by the Public Finance Authority, with debt repaid solely from project revenues. Importantly, neither the university nor the Board of Regents bears any financial liability for the bonds and will contribute no funding to the project. Upon full repayment of the bonds, ownership of both the project and the underlying property will transfer to the university for no additional consideration, a remarkable long-term benefit. The pre-development agreement before you authorizes the developer to proceed with design, entitlement, engineering, permitting, and other work necessary to bring the project to financial closing. The affiliation agreement establishes the university's oversight role in marketing, annual budget review, leasing parameters, rent escalation limits, safety and emergency procedures, and overall coordination. It also outlines the university's long-term ownership pathway and ensures that the project is integrated with our housing portfolio and safety systems, including university police services. This is a time-sensitive, strategically important opportunity. Scenic Investments, one of our project partners, owns the property, enabling us to move forward without land acquisition costs or delays. Acting now allows us to take advantage of favorable financing conditions, current development capacity, and projected enrollment growth. Therefore, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, the university respectfully requests approval of the resolution authorizing the university to enter into the pre-development agreement, the affiliation agreement, and related documents necessary to advance the University Village housing project. We also request authority for the Chancellor and the Nevada System of Higher Education Chief General Counsel to finalize and execute these agreements consistent with the terms presented today. And again, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, appreciate your time, appreciate your consideration, and respectfully request your favorable vote on this matter. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Regent Kokachia.
I will make the motion if there are no questions.
I think you can do that.
All right, I would move that we approve the resolution and authorize Chancellor to sign the documentation to purchase the real property in Reno. So thank you, and again, kudos.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. I will go to Mr. Wixom for some clarifying remarks.
Thank you, Michael Wixom, for the record. Regent Gokachia, just one clarification. I think you mentioned in your motion that you were authorizing the purchase. This doesn't involve any purchase by the system. And as President Sandoval indicated a few minutes ago, there's no financial obligations on the part of the system. So the motion would be solely for the approval of the development agreement and the affiliation agreement.
And I thought in that motion, it also was requesting that the chancellor be allowed
Yes.
to authorize
Yeah,
to
but
sign that.
I
That's
just
what
wanted to
meant.
clarify.
I might not have said it, but that's what I meant. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Wixom.
Thank
Yeah, approve the resolution and give authorize the chancellor to sign it. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have that motion and a second. Thank you from Regent Goodman. Any other discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next is item number 17, resolution authorization to purchase real property located at 1340 North Sierra Street in Reno, Nevada. President Sandoval.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Brian Sandoval, President of the University of Nevada in Reno. Here today to present an item requesting approval for the university to purchase the property located at 1340 North Sierra Street. This 0.15 acre parcel sits directly and adjacent to the western edge of our residence halls and parking garage. Its location within 25 feet of other university-owned residential properties creates an important assemblage of land that strengthens a key area of campus for both immediate and long-term growth. Contiguous parcels of this nature, especially those positioned so strategically, rarely become available. The property includes 6 residential units, a 2-bedroom house, and a second structure with 2 one-bedroom units and 3 studios. The parcel is zoned under the University of Nevada Regional Center Plan, which provides the maximum flexibility for university planning, development, and master plan alignment. In the near term, the university intends to use the property for affordable residential housing. As you know, the demand for housing, particularly for our graduate students, faculty, and staff, continues to grow. Expanding our housing inventory is critical not only to access and affordability, but also to recruitment, retention, and overall student success. This acquisition helps address that need immediately. Longer term, this parcel enhances the university's ability to plan for future expansion. The location is ideal for integrating into broader campus development initiatives as needs evolve. An independent appraisal valued the property at $950,000. We have negotiated a purchase price of $937,500, consistent with fair market value. The offer and acceptance agreement has been reviewed and approved by University General Counsel. As part of our due diligence, the Phase 1 environmental site assessment identified that the property currently uses natural gas and once had an underground oil tank, indicated by an abandoned vent pipe. There is no documentation confirming removal of that tank. Therefore, should the university pursue demolition in the future, additional environmental assessment will be required. An asbestos inspection was also completed and found no concerns for the property's current use. Any future renovation or demolition will trigger a comprehensive asbestos assessment. The purchase will be funded through an internal loan from the university's cash pool with a 25-year repayment plan term and an average annual interest rate of 3%. In other words, we're going to lend money to ourselves and earn interest on it. Repayment will begin 180 days after the close of escrow. The property will generate rental income that will offset operational costs while supporting our housing and expansion efforts. Accordingly, the university respectfully requests approval of the resolution authorizing the purchase of the property for $937,500 and granting the chancellor or his designee authority to execute the necessary agreements, review environmental reports, and approve any non-material amendments required to finalize the transaction. All documents will be reviewed by the Chancellor and the NSHE Chief General Counsel to ensure alignment with the terms approved by the board. This is a valuable opportunity to strengthen our housing inventory, support student and employee success, and advance the university's long-term planning goals. And with that, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, appreciate your favorable consideration on this agenda item, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, President Sandoval. Yes, Regent Goodman.
Do you have to remediate the tank that's underneath the ground? Is there remediation that you need to do there? I missed that. I'm sorry, President Sandoval.
I may, Madam Chair, to you and through you to Regent Goodman, I may have to phone a friend on that. I don't think so, but I want to be sure.
Only if we demo.
Okay. So I got my help, Madam Chair, Regent Goodman, only if we demo that building. So
Okay.
the answer is no.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. See no other questions. Regent Gokachia.
Yeah, I also am concerned about the underground tank, and I understand what you say if you don't demo it, but if somebody comes in, EPA or NDEP or otherwise comes in, you can clean it up, and that can get expensive. I hope it's a small tank. So, but again, I'm assuming even the land values would be such that probably would cover it, even if you end up with a $250,000 cleanup. I don't know how big the tank is. That would have a huge ramification on it, and if it leaked. But with that, it's probably a good, and I'll try and get it right this time for Mr. Wixom, approve the resolution for the purchase. This will be a purchase, and authorizing the chancellor to sign.
Thank you for that motion, and a second from Regent Goodman. Any other discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. All right. Item number 18, resolution authorization to purchase real property located at Highland Avenue, Reno, Nevada. President Sandoval.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Brian Sandoval, President at the University of Nevada in Reno. Today, I'm here to present an item requesting approval for the university to purchase approximately 3.691 acres of real property located on Highlands Avenue in Reno, identified as Washoe County Assessor's Parcel Number 007-083-60. This acquisition represents a rare and strategically significant opportunity for the university. As the board knows, contiguous developable land adjacent to campus, especially parcels of this size, is extremely limited. Acting now ensures that we preserve the ability to expand the physical footprint of the campus in a thoughtful and coordinated manner. In the short and midterm, this property provides an important parking expansion and replacement opportunity. Its location is particularly beneficial as we continue planning for major capital projects, including the potential Veterans Administration campus project, which could displace existing parking. Securing this parcel now ensures that we can maintain campus access, mobility, and operational flexibility as these projects move forward. In the long term, this parcel supports the university's broader vision for campus growth. It sits directly north of the Washoe County School District administrative campus, for which we hold a first option to purchase when the Washoe County School District relocates. Their relocation planning, as noted, is currently underway. Acquisition of the Highlands Avenue parcel ensures continuity between our main campus and the Valley Road Field Laboratory and strengthens our ability to create a cohesive, long-range development corridor. Financially, the university has negotiated a highly favorable price of $8 million. This is below the independent appraised value of $8.25 million and significantly below the seller's original aggregated acquisition and site improvement costs of approximately $14.5 million. As part of our due diligence, a Phase 1 environmental site assessment found no recognized environmental conditions due to the fact that the prior owner performed environmental mitigation activities that resulted in the conveyance of the property to the university with no environmental concerns. This provides us with confidence that the site is well positioned for a near-term parking improvements and future development. The purchase will be funded through an internal loan from the university's cash pool with a 25-year repayment term and an average annual interest rate of 3%. Repayment will begin upon completion of the parking improvements. Accordingly, the university respectfully requests approval of the resolution authorizing the purchase of this parcel for $8 million and granting the chancellor or his designee authority to execute the necessary agreements, review environmental reports, and approve any non-material amendments required to finalize the transaction, with all documents to be reviewed by the chancellor and the Nevada System of Higher Education General Counsel to ensure alignment with board-approved terms. And again, this is an incredibly unique opportunity to secure very critical land for both immediate operational needs and long-term campus planning. And it wasn't really clear, Madam Chair, in my narrative, but this is an opportunity for us to have contiguous land from campus all the way to Wells Avenue, which is where the Reno Rodeo and those are, and connects us with our agricultural experiment station. So, and its adjacency to that Washoe County School District property. So with that, again, thank you for your time and consideration. We'd appreciate your favorable vote.
Thank you, President Sandoval. I'll open it up for discussion from Regents. I do have one clarifying question if nobody else has anything. I see in some of the paperwork it says Highland Avenue and some Highlands Avenue. So we do have an APN number, so obviously whatever that is, but I do just want to make note that I'm not sure which it is, and hopefully there isn't a separate another road in Washoe County that would give any confusion, but I will go with the APN number on this one.
And Madam Chair, I'll look through my documents. You are very good. I think it's Highland with no S, but we'll confirm that. But perhaps the motion could include the APN number versus the address.
I think that would probably be appropriate, so I will open it up to Regents. Regent Gokachia.
I'll make the motion whenever you're ready.
I think we are ready.
I know how critical this is to infill the campus and ultimately tie it back into the Livestock Event Center down there. Huge. So if you're ready.
I think we're ready, thank you.
Okay, Regent Gokachia, for the record, I make a motion to approve a resolution approving the purchase at $8 million and allow the property on Highland, however it's spelled, Avenue, and authorize the chancellor to sign those documents.
Thank you. With the APN number 007-08360, just to be 100% precise on that. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Regent Goodman. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, President Sandoval.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the committee.
I'll now go to new business. Is there any new business for the committee? Yes, Regent Fernandez?
Thank you so much. Just so that we can get a little bit more clarity on the financials, if we could add to the new business the cash balances for the following meeting or during the special meeting, if at all possible.
Thank you. Any other new business? Seeing none, I will go to public comment. Is there any public comment at GBC?
No public comment at GBC.
Thank you. Is there any public comment at the system office in Reno?
None in Reno.
Thank you. Any public comment here at UNLV? Seeing none, oh, it looks like there is, or not. Okay. Is there any public comment on the phone, SCS?
No callers at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I will close public comment, and at this time, this meeting is adjourned, and the full board meeting will start at 11:45.